This week, Geo Heath doubles down in Texas.
Weather, man, it's Texas. 86 degrees right now, smoking. But these deer are rutting, so we're all good. There's 2 hot does back down in here.
Dr. Deer discusses the impact of EHD on the deer herd.
EHD and its cousin blue tongue are viral diseases.
And James Kroll gives insight on effective rattling strategies.
It is when and it is where.
All of this and more on North American Whitetail Television. Now, here are your hosts, Stan Potts and Pat Hogan.
Folks, welcome to North American Whitetail this week. We're glad you're here. This week we're headed to Texas with Geo Heath. You don't want to miss the action.
That's right, Stan. We got a pile of content for you guys in our segments this week. On From the Stand, we're going to be talking about whether location matters relative to your rattling strategy. And on Dr. Deer, we're talking epizootic hemorrhagic disease, otherwise known as EHD.
Needs no introduction right here. First Shot Outfitters right here with Mr. Mike White, the man of the hour. We're going into this set. He's been seeing a big mainframe 9 with 2 kickers. We'll go up here, basically we'll be on the ground. We're just going to tuck up in some of these trees. Weather, man, it's Texas. 86 degrees right now, smoking, but these deer are rutting, so we're all good. There's 2 hot does back down in here. So we're going to set up, get the glass up, and hopefully get one down. Pushing up about 3 o'clock right now. We got a couple hours till dark. Get in here and make this thing happen. Glad to be back in Texas, man. Up with Mike, good old buddy of mine.
You know, Mike and I have had a heck of a run, man. He manages 600,000 acres, and last year I came in there and I really was able to see what growing big deer, was all about, and it's taking those smaller bucks out. And we had a heck of a run last year. Looking forward to getting in there this year and doing it all over again.
Man, all by himself.
Oh yeah, those 2 does.
2 does.
Yeah. They weren't in, he was just pushing them,
Right.
To go out there and have the access to a free-range buck and the caliber that he's throwing out there is phenomenal. And it goes back to the management side of what he's done. So we go in there and try to hone in on those management bucks first, and then after that, get on the ground, spot and stalk, and try to kill a trophy.
I couldn't sleep for a week thinking about this deer.
And he stayed right here.
He got right up there on that ridge sit on that other side.
Yeah, like that open flat.
Something that Mike, really stands out on to me and hunt with him is he's able to spot and stalk these deer. The terrain out there, you got some rolling hills, you got some cuts you can get back in, and basically just spend some time behind the glass and find that particular deer that he wants to go after, and we get in there and get it done.
We're in the hot seat tonight. Came in here earlier this morning, right down here, probably like 50 yards, had a big 140 buck. Hot on a doe. They actually kind of worked their way around this rim right here, so we went back into camp. We're going to come in here tonight, try to get it done. There's also another big management 6 that's been in here pretty regular the last 3 nights. Some of their guides in camp have seen. So we're going to, the big one comes in, we're going to roll thunder on him. If that big management 6 comes in, we're going to help Mike out with that program side of it too. These deer are definitely rutting. We've seen some big bucks. Had my buddy Billy blow over a big one this morning, 154-inch deer. And you can't beat it, 6,000 acre ranch right here getting it done. And the management side of it, you're looking around 2 to 1 buck to doe. That's all because of Mike and his management plan. So we're going to here and go to work, hopefully make something happen tonight.
So we're making tracks across the ranch and we're glassing some deer, here and there. We just couldn't make it happen. Well, we made this one stalk in and we were able to get in probably about 200 yards and glass this deer through the mesquite. And he said, man, this is a perfect deer. I need to get out of here. Let's just get in there. Let's get set up. Let's make it happen.
Hit him, load up. Hit him again. Load up.
He's about to go. Right there. He's down. He's down. All right. He's down.
Good job.
Right there. Good job, fellas. Good job, man. That's what it's all about right there. We just came up in here. We had one buck we saw this morning. We're sitting here and Mike came here, so we had another big management 6 we might go after. And then, like I said, out here spot stopping in Texas and just hunkering down. You never know what's going to roll in. That looks like a good 9-point ring.
Man, I couldn't get on him.
Yeah.
I think he is.
Yeah, he's a 9. Nice white time. And I mean, came rolling it off the river up here, man. Just what a hunt. Been here hunting hard. 6,000 acres getting it done right here, first shot. But he got like a couple minutes till it gets dark.
He's almost losing life.
I know, we're gonna lose. Get out here and cover this deer. Here we go.
Yeah, he's a great management deer.
Ruddy. These hops. Check that out. I mean, right on that doe.
Big old heavy.
Yeah, get in here.
Big old heavy management buck.
That's right, we got in here, this morning, saw that big buck. And then Mike said there was a big 6 in here. We're gonna go after on the management side. And this junker walks out and he looked at me and said, I've never seen that deer. He said, let's get him out of here. You get what? How many tags a year?
Well, that just depends on what the state gives. This year we got 50. So.
Right, so 50 tags on the management side. And this
on that, we're only killing 10 trophies a year.
Right.
And everything else is management call.
Awesome.
And this is what this is. We need to get him out of the herd.
So we couldn't have wrote the script better on this one. We get in there, we get a shot on this management deer. Now it's time to shift gears and just really focus on that trophy buck.
North American Whitetail, brought to you by Mossy Oak. North American Whitetail, brought to you by Kubota Tractors. North American Whitetail presents Weird Whitetails. This week's Weird Whitetails segment features perhaps one of the most incredible collections of trail camera photos we've ever received, and serves as a somber reminder of the deadly impact that EHD, epizootic hemorrhagic disease, can have on whitetails. Nick Boley, owner of Windy Ridge Outfitting in southeast Iowa, was shocked when he retrieved the memory card from a trail camera he had located over a water hole. The photos contained on the card detailed the demise of an EHD-stricken whitetail buck and the subsequent process of decay and scavenging that took place. The chain of photos begins on the evening of September 30th, when what appears to be a 9-point buck approaches the water hole. Other than appearing to be slightly hunched up, the buck appears to be healthy in the photos. But just a few minutes later, the camera snaps another photo of the buck in what would turn out to be its final resting place. The deer presumably laid down in this location and succumbed to disastrous effects of EHD. Over the course of the next 2.5 weeks, the camera continued to capture photos of the buck's remains as coyotes and vultures triggered its motion sensor. Thanks, Nick, for the sad yet amazing photos. And as always, if you encounter unusual whitetail behavior, be sure to let us know by sending an email to whitetail@iamoutdoors.com.
You know, Stan, my buddy Nick Boley up in Iowa actually captured that sequence of photos. Pretty sad, but still very interesting to watch that deer actually succumb to EHD. It happens a lot faster than you think.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal out there in Mother Nature. Folks, you want to stay tuned because we're headed back to Texas with Geo Heath. But first, this week's Dr. Deer segment, and James is talking about EHD, something that you want to stay tuned for.
Dr. Deer, presented by Buck Forage, the preferred forage for whitetails.
Well, Doc, so far in our Whitetail Horizons series for Dr. Deer, we've covered a number of topics, a number of issues that are likely going to impact whitetail deer or whitetail deer management, whitetail deer hunters over the next decade or so. With regard to disease, we've already talked about CWD, and we're going to be addressing some of the lesser known diseases in a subsequent segment, but today I really want to focus on EHD. Epizootic hemorrhagic disease, what is it and how does it affect deer?
EHD and its cousin blue tongue are viral diseases that are not unlike, they're impacted not unlike Ebola virus in humans, although humans can't get them. They're spread by gnats. The gnats emerge from mud, usually in the evening. And here's the way the scenario plays out. An infected individual, and the symptoms are just horrendous. They have a very high fever. There are lesions in their mouth, all through their intestines, their organs, they're bleeding inside. It's a horrible way for a deer to die. They get fevered up, they go to a water source to cool off. The gnats are emerging in the evening. They feed on the belly region of the deer, which is where they like to feed. They go to an uninfected individual, feed on that deer, and 10 to 14 days later, that individual is down sick. And so it just spreads through the entire herd.
So you mentioned, these midges emerge from mud, mud flats, exposed mud flats. That's a critical concept when it comes to habitat management and how we might be able to help reduce the odds of deer on our property contracting EHD. Right. How do those mud flats come into play, and what can we do to help decrease the odds of EHD?
Anything you can do to pull those deer away from those mud flats is an important thing. A simple thing like how you design a pond. If you have a steep drop off around your ponds, you're going to have less shallow area and you're going to have less mud. In the past, the common wisdom was that there was nothing you could do about this disease other than control the population. What we found out in the last several years in our research is that you could put out artificial water in the form of a water trough and a float valve and a water tank and significantly spread your deer out more and also reduce the incidence of EHD on your property because you don't have any mud and the deer are spread out and you don't have as much stress on your deer. So that's one way that we found that works pretty well.
Well, Doc, you mentioned stress. What about the overall health of our herd? If we're paying particular attention to well-rounded nutrition, if we're providing all the elements of habitat that our deer need, and reducing stress, if the herd is just healthier, will that help us combat diseases like EHD?
It definitely will. You know, stress causes loss of resistance. The healthier our herds are, the better we're managing them, the more resistant our deer are to any disease, but even EHD. So again, it seems like everything goes back to doing a good job of management. If we manage our herds properly, we're going to have less impacts of diseases.
I'm Pat Hogan.
And I'm James Kroll.
This is North American Whitetail.
North American Whitetail, brought to you by Matthews Solo Cam. North American Whitetail, brought to you by Hornady.
Now it's time to shift gears. We want to go after this trophy buck. Well, there's this one particular spot on this ranch that Mike's got a tower stand that he wants us to get in. He's been seeing this deer, pretty regularly come in. We just need to get in there. We need to spend some time, and hopefully he'll show face.
This plot we're on has been holding a lot of does in the evening. Some big bucks have been hitting it. And the ranch we were hunting earlier, been putting a lot of time in. Those bucks just locked down. They read it hard in the last week, 2 weeks since we've been here. So, we're right on, man. Temps are in the 70s right now. It's gonna cool off. We got in here about 2 o'clock, and we're hoping these bucks have been showing up at really good light from what we've heard. So basically just throwing the cars on the table, make a little gamble tonight, kill a big one on this plot. But I think we're sitting in the right spot. We're good to go. It's been a heck of a hunt.
So we put the time in on this set, and it was getting pretty hot in there. I ain't gonna lie, that sun was up. It was stinging pretty hard, and we look up and here our buck comes, man. He jumps the fence. He's in there. Mike IDs him. He said, "Hey, let's go to work." So we're sitting in there, man, and everything's perfect. Deer comes out. I'm ready to go. I click the safety, pull the trigger. Oh. Next time you go out, make sure you always load your gun. Luckily, I was able to sit there, get a bullet in there, settle down, and make the shot on this deer.
Good shot. Holy cow. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? Right there in the side pocket. Oh man, it dropped him right there. That is crazy. I sat there and pulled the click and I did not load this gun. Goodness, but that is a big buck, big mature buck. At least, man, what was that? I heard the click. It's been a wild ride. This is all I can say for this hunt, man. It's been crazy. We've stalked, we've set ground blinds. It's been hot, it's been cold, it's been windy. And then, man, this is it. That was a little chaotic. You gotta love when the plan comes together. That's we've been at it hard, man. On the ground spot in the stall, gonna get up here, do a little window time, did some ground blind time with the bow for a little bit. It's just been a wild ride, but a heck of a hunt. What a way to end it on a buck like that, big mature buck here in Texas. Golly, busted him up bad. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this. There's your first shot, Magnum right there, man. That is a trophy buck. We've done the management side. We shot a good management buck the other night. It's a one-stop shop here, man. You get on the ground, you spot and stalk them. You get in these blinds right here, you get the bow blind, you chase hogs, turkeys. I've done it all. I'm telling you, on the backside of this, managing 600,000 acres right here, you know, around the Coleman area, and got genetics like this running around, and the quail operation, all that stuff, man. It just don't get no better than this right here. That's all I can say. What a deer, what a buck. Thanks, brother. Man, thank you so much. Golly. Yeah, right here. He's got good mass. Look at that. Just dip down to you.
Man, I can't thank Mike enough. You know, once again, First Shot Outfitters came through, and it's their true deal on how to grow big bucks, man. Taking those management deer and all that just really shows what growing big deer is all about. I can't thank him enough for having me out.
North American Whitetail, brought to you by Boss Buck Feeders. North American Whitetail, brought to you by Hornady. From the Stand, presented by Millennium Tree Stands. Comfort to hunt all day, all season.
You know, over the many years that North American Whitetail Television has been on the air, and of course North American Whitetail Magazine has been around a long time, it still is the most commonly asked question, and that is questions in relation to rattling. Specifically, where to rattle and when to rattle. How to rattle is not that important, quite frankly. A lot of people talk about how to rattle, but it's really not that big an issue. It is when and it is where. And let's talk about when. What we want to do, what we're trying to simulate, is two bucks fighting. And the combat period is the time when the scrapes first open up. And the bucks are very aggressive, and they're trying to gain dominance and gain control of a specific area. So one of the things I always do is I keep track of where the scrapes are on my hunting territory. And if you find them this year, I promise you they're going to be right there again next year unless something really dramatic happens to the habitat. So if you know where they're going to be, all you have to do then, the when, is to watch those areas, and suddenly the day comes, you'll know this, when the scrapes suddenly open up. That's when you need to rattle, and you've got about 4 or 5 days to do it. Now what I do is, knowing where those places are, I have a set path that I'm going to move into those areas, paying attention to the wind, and set up to rattle. Also, you can do some manipulation ahead of time. If you know where those scrapes are going to be, you can clear some understory in lanes in a V pattern, because that deer is going to come probably from behind you or off to your right or left and circle around trying to get downwind. And if you can see him when he crosses your shooting lane here or your shooting lane there, you can get ready to shoot him when he comes downwind. Now, how long do you rattle? I like to stay a long time, 45 minutes or more. The other thing that people ask about is, well, I've got 0 age structure, and we've got a horrible buck-doe ratio. Will rattling still work? Well, it is more difficult. I'll be first to admit that if you've got skewed sex ratios and poor age structure, it's a little more difficult. But you can rattle in deer, I promise you. If you do it right, when the scrapes open up, you can rattle in deer. It may be a yearling, but you can rattle them in. And the last question we get asked about is, what if you use a big old set of antlers? Are you going to scare all the bucks out of the woods where you are? Let me tell you, I've been rattling for 40 plus years, and I've rattled up lots of yearling bucks, and I use a pretty good size set of antlers. So I've never seen big antlers clear the woods out. Those young bucks are going to come, or those smaller bucks are going to come to see the fight. They're going to come, I promise you. So I hope that answers some of the questions we get asked often here at North American Whitetail.
Big Buck Profile, brought to you by True Glow.
You know, when we started North American Whitetail magazine back in 1982, some people consider that the start of the trophy whitetail era, but there were great bucks being taken long before that. In fact, places like Saskatchewan, where this deer came from, had been producing monster bucks way back into the 60s and 70s. 1977, south of Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, is where Alex Kelly shot this buck with a rifle. And a colossal whitetail. This is what you're really dreaming of when you think about going up to Canada to hunt big deer. 209 7/8 net non-typical as a 21 pointer. As you can see on the other side, he's got a few points that are kind of broken off, so we don't really know what was there, but what's left is colossal. He obviously has these big drops on both sides,
and he's incredibly massive. You just look down in here, he's about 5 inches, but he just keeps getting bigger. By the time you get up into here, about 7 inches, and that's even heavier on the other beam. So he's just a colossal buck. Doesn't even have a 10-inch tine on his head. I think his longest point's like 9 7/8, but that just goes to show if you got enough mass and spread, you can overcome the lack of long tines. Now, this deer has got that color you look for from the North Country. He's obviously got these gnarly features on his rack, a lot of sharp edges and things. In fact, out here he's got this kind of a teacup almost shape at the end of his main beam. That's almost certainly from damage during velvet, where it stopped growing right there, and the antler just kind of grew around that spot. But I don't care what caused any of this. He is a colossal whitetail, and again, one of the reasons that everybody wants to go to Canada at least once.
You know, Stan, these giant Canadian bucks always get me. I can't wait to get back up to Canada and take a look.
Yeah, just big, huge bodied deer. Folks, thanks for tuning in, but we need you right back here next week. So from all of us here at North America Whitetail, see you next week. And do not forget to pluck a copy of our magazine off the newsstand and check us out on Facebook and Twitter.
Closed captioning for North American Whitetail provided by Hunter Safety System.